Support for the Leadoff on WGLT and WGLT.org comes from the Central Illinois Regional Airport, offering seasonal nonstop service to Denver. Outdoor concerts, hiking, and more activities in the Mile High City are one flight away on Frontier Airlines. Close, convenient, Sierra. More at CIRA.com.
Bloomington City Manager explains what's next as they move to close that homeless tent encampment near downtown. One of the things you need to know to start your day for Wednesday, September 11th. I'm Ryan Denham, and this is WGLT's The Leadoff. Now let's lead off with a campaign of a different sort, heading into a tense election season. WGLT's Braden Fogerson explains.
Be kind, be kind. Campaign rallies are commonplace heading into an election. What's not common, however, are rallies to support the voters. Local church leaders like Hope United Methodist lead pastor Jenny Edwards Bertrand helped to organize a kindness rally to create a more positive political discourse.
People in my church have come to me and said, I don't know how to go home for family dinners. I don't know how to have a conversation with my parents or my grandparents or my children. We just want to give them tools to still love their family, even in the midst of different perspectives.
This rally was to prepare people on how to approach the more touchy conversations that lead to arguments with loved ones. Many created goals for themselves leading into November, like Liz Cooper of Normal.
Caring for each other, encouraging each other, and stepping away from the harsh language that often dominates the political scene.
Calvary Methodist directing pastor Vince Rohn says the lesson was that kindness is the only way to begin seeing and hearing each other again.
If we could do that kind of kindness, then we can get past some of that real bitterness that we see in the election cycle.
Dozens of churchgoers, along with several candidates seeking re-election this fall, attended the event. For The Leadoff, I'm Braden Fogerson.
Here's some other stories we're following in the WGLT newsroom. Bloomington Normal Water Reclamation District plans to increase its tax levy next year by just under 5%. That new money will go toward capital projects, such as the nearly $38 million Southeast Wastewater Treatment Plant renovation. Over $25 million in new federal money is headed to Illinois to help build out the state's electric vehicle infrastructure. And the All-In Campus Democracy Challenge has recognized Heartland as the Illinois community college with the highest student voting rate and the highest student registration rate for the 2022 midterm election. You can find more on these stories at WGLT.org. The Bloomington City Council has approved an emergency order expanding space at a Salvation Army facility to accommodate residents of the tent encampment south of downtown. That encampment has been growing for nearly a year, and concerns are growing as the city approaches winter without a solution for the problem. In this interview with WGLT correspondent Adeline Schultz, Bloomington City Manager Jeff Jurgens discusses short and long-term solutions to the encampment and explains how the emergency order came to be.
We've been working for the last several months trying to figure out solutions to the encampment. Honestly, I was hopeful that we would have a solution before the summer hit. We weren't able to come up with a short-term solution before then, so we knew we had to get a better solution before the winter hit. As we've been meeting, we've been talking about the opportunity to declare an emergency, waive some technical building codes, and allow the Salvation Army to expand its operations and to provide the shelter that we truly need here in the community. So it was really all of the organizations coming together, the town, the county, everybody else, the nonprofits, sitting around a table trying to figure out how to address this, and the solution came out of those meetings.
The encampment is on a privately owned lot. Whose decision was it for the city to help disperse it?
The parking lot's owned by Eastview Church, and they had a temporary use because it was a church. But this is coming up on a year now, so clearly we're starting to get beyond the temporary nature of this. Had conversations with the church and with other stakeholders, and really decided that, allowing this to continue through the winter months wasn't going to be good for anybody, so we wanted to get a new solution in place.
How will the city and the Salvation Army work together to ensure that the facility is going to be safe for a higher number of residents in more confined quarters?
The executive order that will be issued that that allows for this expanded use will include some precautions, including things like additional fire alarms, 24-hour staffing. It'll make sure that there's a clear pathway for exits, and we'll have other training requirements for staff. So a lot of things that are common when we have situations like this, but we're confident it's going to be safe, and certainly it's going to be safer than somebody staying outside and sleeping outside when it's as cold as it gets in Illinois in the wintertime.
We know from Home Sweet Home Ministries that many residents of the encampment are not equipped for congregant living. How is the Salvation Army preparing for that?
This is probably not going to be the solution for some that cannot go into a congregate setting. So this is going to be a short-term solution for a number of people, but there are going to be some people that decide they're just going to continue to live in a tent this winter. What we are committed to doing is trying to find more non-congregate shelter and to increase the non-congregate shelter space that we have in the community. That's the longer-term solution, and that's what we've got to continue working on.
You mentioned during the meeting the $50,000 donation from Eastview. Can you just talk for our listeners about the funding of this?
Sure. So with Salvation taking this on, they're going to have increased costs. They're going to have to hire more staff. They're going to have to purchase equipment like cots and other things to be able to maintain this. And so that obviously comes with an expense. And so everybody's kind of looking around trying to figure out, okay, who could help fund this for the winter? Eastview Church stepped up, said that they were willing to provide the funding, and that was a great help.
Is this emergency declaration just through the winter? What happens when the warmer months hit again?
The declaration will start today, and it'll go through, I think, March, the end of March. So this is really looking at the winter months, and then we'll have to look and see if there's something else that needs to be done once we get to the end of March.
So when can the public and the residents of the encampment expect a more permanent solution?
We're working every day on that. I'm hopeful that we have more to announce either this week or next week. There will be some different ideas that come out about how to increase the shelter capacity in our community. And again, I think those details will hopefully come out within the next either week or 2 weeks.
That was Bloomington City Manager Jeff Jurgens speaking with WGLT correspondent Adeline Schultz. Before we let you go, the American Legion Honor Guard will host a 9/11 memorial ceremony this morning at 11 at the McLean County Museum of History. There'll be an invocation, taps, 3-volley rifle salute, Amazing Grace on bagpipes, and a flyover. That's it for today. I'm Ryan Dedham. The show is produced by Rosalie Truback. You can subscribe to The Leadoff on the NPR app or wherever you get your podcasts.